Hello and welcome to another Grow Traffic Facebook Live. This week we are doing Juggling Work and Homeschooling Part 2. So the first session was really successful. We had loads of really great feedback. So we thought we'd just do it again, but this time with a slightly different focus on it. So you might notice I'm not Rachel, I'm Hannah, the other director of Grow Traffic. I thought we'd give you all a bit of a break from Rachel because, you know, after the whole lentils and toilet comment, we thought probably best get her off that. So we've got a really good session today. So what I'm going to do is let everyone go around and introduce themselves. So we'll start with Liz. Liz, who are you and what do you do?
Hello, my name's Liz. I work in SE and I support students with specific learning difficulties, students with EHCPs, adult learners with physical disabilities, access the curriculum during their college career. And yeah, that's me.
Real, thank you. Eve, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi, I'm an infant school Senko and reception teacher.
Yeah, thank you. And Jenny?
I'm a business coach, but I've been asked to come on here as I've got 5 children. I've got multiple ages, so I think if I can offer some advice on how I'm managing it to help someone, then by all means, if I can help, great.
Brilliant.
Can't help make them smile though, it doesn't work.
Obviously, oh dear. And I have one child at home and obviously working full time managing Grow Traffic. Oh, here's another kid. Kids are welcome.
She's been on a bike ride and picked a flower for Mummy.
Ah, Belle.
It's a big one. It's a big daisy, isn't it, darling?
Yeah.
Okay.
We was on our bike ride.
You were on your bike ride?
Yeah.
Oh, this is my little 5-year-old who's been living.
Go on, that's my one. That's miserable.
That's beautiful. Do you want to go back there with me?
Thank you.
Yeah. Come on then. Yes, good girl.
Jenny, we'll start with you then. So just tell us a little bit about your kind of situation with homeschooling. How is it going for you?
Who are you talking
about? Me?
Jenny, just how's homeschooling going for you? Is it hard work? Are you managing any work?
I had an email off the high school last week, which I have to admit, and I apologise if I offended, but I actually laughed out loud. It was an email to say that they are supporting the young people's mental health and well-being, and we shouldn't be asking them to do any more than 5 hours of schoolwork a day. I howled with laughter and snorted my cup of tea back through my nose. Obviously, I've got 3 teenagers, one that's due to go into high school and a little one. So if I was to sit down and do schoolwork with all of them 5 hours a day, that would take me more than 24 hours in a day. So how's it going? I've spoken to many teachers and tutors over the last few weeks, and they've said, you know, there's a lot of changes that happened with the kids. They've got a lot to deal with in terms of adapting to the new normal. Don't push them to do things that, you know, don't have them kicking off in the background, you know, don't force them. So we've conscious decision to what we call unschool. So we'll say, what do you want to learn about today? And she'll say, I want to learn about the human body. So we'll find something to learn about on the human body. So we're focusing around what they want to learn about rather than what we're told to learn about. Animals. Yeah. And just because the more focused, the more engaged, and it's easier for the parents to teach them what they want to learn about, because I don't know about you guys, I know you guys are in education, so when, you know, your kids come home with homework, you might find it a little bit easier. I mean, I've got a 6-year-old here, when she comes home with homework, I look at her and look at the work and go, no, I've got no idea, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't taught a lot of that stuff that they're learning now. I was Googling coordinating conjunctions the other day as I was trying to teach Naya it. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with this. Eve, you've got 2 at different ages, haven't you? You've got a little one and a bigger one. How's it going for you, homeschooling those 2?
It's actually going quite well. I mean, I've got Ralph, who's 4, and he's got additional needs. And then I've got Harry, who's 15. And it's actually been quite a good opportunity, really, because Harry has managed to be sort of independent and get on with stuff, which I didn't think he would do because he is a lazy so-and-so. And he's just kind of got on with it and sort of seen to himself. So I think for him, it's been quite a good opportunity to, you know, get a feel for what it's like to direct yourself. And for Ralph, who's quite good that he's had more time with me, I suppose. I wouldn't say I'm homeschooling all day long. We're spending a lot of time playing in the garden and stuff. He just couldn't tolerate it too long. But it's one of those things I think about the structure of our day in reception. You know, our children are 4 years old. They do sort of 3 sitting down adult-led inputs in a day, and the rest of the day they are playing. That, you know, they're consolidating their learning that way. They don't need to be sat down all day doing, you know, let's solve this quadratic equation. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely. And then Liz, you've got one little girl, obviously, who's made an appearance. How's it going for you?
Yeah, Isabella's 5, and the school structured her day really well for her, but I make amendments because she's got something called Class Dojo. So I'll go on to that, and teachers will put, I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, teachers will put, this is a little bit about phonics, want them to do this, and then they'll put on a full-on video with a teacher saying hi to the camera and this, that. So it's an unfamiliar person. Isabella said to me, who's that? What does she want me to do? And I said, oh, we're just going to watch it. You don't have to do anything. And then I found that I were adapting what that lady was talking about, the teacher or the chap talking about, into something that were more interesting and geared towards her interests. I found it quite tedious. For the first 6 weeks, that's what we had, full on, this is how we're going to do it. And I get a bit panicking now, because I'm thinking, this is full on stuff here. And then it's the swap teachers. And then a new teacher came in, and she was much more relaxed. It was, you know, watch number blocks or alpha blocks, or have a look at bite size. I'd already started doing the Joe Wicks P thing every morning, which she soon got bored of, and we went to Cosmic Kids then, which is really good, a yoga session for kids, younger ones. Mum, to be honest, we enjoyed it, and we'd FaceTime her friends and do that together, because at the end of the day, like you said, they're 4-year-old and they can't sit down for 3 consecutive sessions, you know, let's have lunch, too structured, and they would be playing to her at school, and so I'd let her FaceTime with her friends, they'd do Cosmic Kids together, or they would just play in garden. Usually they'd just sneak off and hide in the wardrobe and say, don't tell your mummy where we are, but, you know, just all that sort of thing. Yeah, dressing up and stuff like that. So I've adapted it to science and engineering and things, making a marble run, and just mainly playing and having fun, because I'm having to explain to my child, you can't go outside, you can't do this, you can't go see granny, you know, you can only see them on the phone, and she's a very, very active girl. She'd swim every week, she'd go to the play centre every week, she'd play dates, and that just went stop. Yeah, you are, you know, and she didn't really understand what was going on, so I've tried to do snippets of things to keep her going, so she's not behind. But yeah, so that's also my daughter's going to a new school that's not built yet, so we're in sort of in a limbo transition with all that as well. But to be honest, I have been quite on top of her schoolwork, much to the detriment of my own work, because she's my main priority right now. You know, if I don't get another job, I can't go and get another kid. So
that's great. That's a nice way of looking at it.
Yeah. So that even though I am not responsible, but I am responsible, I have a duty of care to my learners in FB. I look after them in a different way. So and we've got a lot of adult services and other benefits that come into play to help their mental health, and they have teachers online teaching them every day. They've got access to Google Classroom, and they've got online in-class support people helping them, so nothing seriously has changed for them. We've still got that familiar voice to deal with. Sorry, they've still got that familiar voice and familiarity, and they're sort of looked after, and they're safe to some extent when it comes to schoolwork. I still talk to my learners that I would every week, who come in and say, you know, drop-in sessions with me and what have you. But apart from that, it's not been too bad for me, actually.
Yeah, that's good.
It's when it comes to assessing the new people for the 2020-21 cohort, that's going to be the difficulty.
Yeah, I think like with Naya, my daughter's 8, and she's quite independent. But I, I'm working full time. My husband's working full time. We haven't got time to, teach her. But what we do tend to do is set her up with a class for the day, and say, these are the things that you have to do today. So it might be some maths and English and something else. And then we say in the afternoon, as long as she's done that, she can entertain herself, but it has to be something productive. And if she ever says I'm bored, then the solution is, well, you've got to clean the windows, or you've got to empty out this cupboard for me or something. And so like today this week she's been we've just lost Eve, she'll pop back I think. So this week she's been sorting through drawers and stuff and toys and tidying, and I think that's a really valuable life skill that you don't really get time to teach or learn or develop. So I think for us it's about giving her the opportunity to be self-motivated, self-driven, find solutions to problems herself, and feel a little bit independent.
Well, that's it, isn't it? The resilience that this lockdown's created for these kids. That I mean, they say the forgotten Generation C, and I think that's a bit of a pish attitude, really, because I think that this cohort of kids are going to be adaptable and resourceful. And Bella's been helping Daddy light the barbecue. I probably wouldn't have let her do that. But now it's like, oh, go on then, yeah, you can do that, get that, taking more risks. She's out on a bike. I know she's only just 5, but she has been riding for a while without stabilizers, but I've allowed her to go on different terrains, and I'm more relaxed with her as for her to explore, whereas I think I were a bit more, no, I need to be in control, when really a self-directed learning is really important. Like Anna says, get bored and go and have a look in the boredom box and have an imaginary friend. Or it's hard for you and I, Anna, because we've only got the one. So it's constantly, Mummy, look at this, or Mummy, what do you think to this picture I've drawn of you and Daddy?
You've got more.
Really? I was told they did.
Do not entertain each other.
No, they fight more.
Oh, crikey.
That's true. At least we don't have arguments. Yeah, that is true.
Oh,
Mummy's looked at me. That's a good one. Mummy's looked at me. Just to add on what you were saying there, mine have always done jobs at home. I mean, I've been told before by a lot of people that I'm a bad parent because childhood is for playing. And for me, I grew up when I was young. I was doing the pots at a young age. My brother was born when I was 10, so I had to start doing my own ironing and washing when I was 9 or 10. And I'm not gone that far with them. They're not having an iron. But we've got a jobs board, so you've got a pin board at home. And they only like doing certain jobs, and no one likes cleaning the car. Okay, no one likes doing it. So I'll put on stop it, baby. We put on the little money bag, £10 or £5 cleaning the car. So if they want something like V-Bucks for the computer, they know they need £30. They can go and go, well, I need to do 10 small jobs, or I can do 2 big jobs, and I've got that money, and they pick and choose which jobs they want to do then.
Really good.
Right. That's a really good idea. And so I think Eve's just having a few problems reconnecting, but Liz, what do you think I think she's back now, but Liz, how do you think this is impacting kids with additional needs any differently, or is it impacting any differently?
It's I think it's having a massive impact because it was quick. It was there were no really transition to you're not going to school anymore, and I'm talking about the ones with significant difficulties who need personal care and things like that, and have to adhere to and observe the social distancing rules and things like that. So they're at home with their parents, and their parents are trying to homeschool. They might be key workers as well, but because they're shielding their loved ones and children and young adults, sometimes even into adulthood, they're trapped in that bubble, and I sort of call it the sort of prison bubble, because that's what we were in effect a few weeks ago, wasn't it? We don't leave the house, don't do this, don't do that. So that's having a massive impact on them, and all the respite facilities and things for sort of that cohort of people. They just weren't there. I mean, my brother's got autism and schizophrenia, and we were very lucky to maintain his is independent, so he'd go for walks, but any kind of medical appointments he can't, his key worker can't take him to, because they can't be in the same car. So it's relied on my mum, who's shielding, to take him. It's been quite a difficult situation for them, and I can relate and understand how other people in that sort of difficulty are getting on. But even down to the kids that have that have got co-occurring difficulties, or they're dyslexic, they've got ADHD, or they've got autism, that feeling of being trapped and not developing their social skills. I mean, some students in that category don't want to socialise. That's sort of their thing. But having that taken away from them when they started to go down that road of development is pretty difficult. I think what I would say is for students who have SEND difficulties and they are just about to embark on their GCSEs. Now, this GCSE is so important for them, because that springboards whether they're going to go on to level 3, for example. So not having that qualification and having that uncertainty in their life, it's causing havoc. And that's why they've developed an app for students called the Big White Wall. And I'll just get the details. I mean, Hannah will pop it on below, won't you?
Yeah.
The Big White Wall.
In the comments.
It's an online peer-to-peer support community for mental health. So that can be anything down to children or young adults with, say for instance, OCD, and they're constantly washing their hands, and then they're told by the government, wash your hands more. So this cycle and all that therapy and intervention is then becomes a little bit of a detrimental, and it's a bit of a waste, and we're back to square one. So there's going to be a bit of an influx of mental health issues, but people are putting things in place. The psychology department that I'm linked to via college, they're putting staff and students. The Big White Wall, they're putting things in place for students to talk to each other about difficulties. How are you finding it? What are you doing? But like I said, for some of my learners, I don't know why this camera's not in my face. For some of my learners, that's one of their difficulties, isn't it? So having that key person, the mentor they went to every week, that's not there, but still there online or on the end of the phone, but not so, it's going to be very difficult. It is very difficult, and it's going to be very difficult transitioning back to sort of society.
Yeah.
My school life, my new school life, and all that sort of jazz. Sorry, just rattle on there a little while.
I'm going to wait till Eve's back on the broadcast and I'll ask her that question again. I can't see her. Eve, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
No. So, Jen, just whilst we're waiting for Eve to come back, what do you think do you think there is going to be a long-term impact on education of kids? Do you think they will be the forgotten generation? You're still on mute, love. Hang on.
I've done it.
You're off mute.
I've managed it. Sorry, I was just making it sure it's quiet because I've got kids running around going, the joys of working at home through COVID. No, I agree. I think we're teaching them resilience. We're teaching them about change. We're teaching them to manage adversity and how to overcome it. If we're obviously helping them in an effective way. I think the biggest challenge for a lot of parents is they don't understand how to deal with adversity and change very well. And I've seen a lot of parents that I'm surrounded with that are getting upset, angry, depressed, they're getting stressed with schools, and it's just getting too much for them, which then transpires onto the younger generations, and they learn off us, and they learn from what we teach them to do. And this is why I've not pushed with the homeschooling side of things. They've been through a lot. So I've got one that was going through a GCSEs. She's not naturally academic, but she was set to be an A-star student. So she was super excited about her GCSEs. And that transition period in her life has just completely been taken away from her. So she started having panic attacks, and she's had a bit of anxiety and a bit of depression over the last couple of months. But we've managed her quite well, and, gone through what does she want to do in life? How can we help her? Does she want to go to college? And it's asking her, what does she want to do? Yes, that part of her life, what she expected to happen wasn't there. but we can't change it. So dwelling on it isn't going to help anything. So what can we do now to put in place to make sure that the rest of her life is how she wants it? And yeah, she had a bad couple of weeks, but I mean, we're 9-10 weeks in. I don't even know what week it is anymore. We're a few weeks in now. She's actually really excited. And she's actually at her dad's house because we co-parent, but she's moved to her dad's house because he's got 2 young ones and the stepmom's a nurse. So she's there kind of home parenting the younger 2, and she's homeschooling them. So she gets paid for that, which he's absolutely loving because she's getting a couple of £100 a week now for staying at her dad's and doing what she normally does. But it is, I don't think, I say, we're going to have a lot of children that are going to struggle when they go back to school because they've got to transition back into that normal way of life, like you said, the normal school life. But I think once they get over that again, they'll be absolutely fine. I think they'll all catch up, really quickly. I think when you're talking about, academics and, the reading and the writing and the arithmetic and all that sort of stuff, they do pick it up really quickly. I think it's more important to concentrate on their mental health and well-being and making sure that they're stable enough to manage things rather than forcing them down a road that they're not capable of dealing with yet.
Yeah, for sure. I think Eve is back, but I can't see or hear Eve. Can you guys see and hear her?
Yeah.
So Eve, I will ask you a question, and then if someone just gives me the nod and you finish talking, and I'm sure your answer will be bloody brilliant. So I asked Liz, what do you think the additional challenges facing kids with SEN are at the moment? And is there any way that that you could kind of help them get over that?
She's muted.
She's muted.
See, we worried about this, didn't we, when we came on about all the technology, and then
it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah. See, my perspective from an FE perspective, so my students are still having that online support, the in-class support that they would have. So they've got that. It's more of the wider community with disabilities that are sort of accessing college, but have also got additional needs outside that aren't being met with the key workers and what have you, things like that. But in college, they're getting tutor support. So they continued learning via Google Classroom, which is very much like Facebook. You've got an instant messenger, you can type things. But then if you're looking at kids with difficulties typing, difficulties reading, online work is a lot of reading, a lot of writing. I mean, and we have put in things, assistive technology screen readers for students, or the RNIB have got a wonderful website where they've waived all sort of publishing rights and copyright things, so they can read through that. So from my perspective, they're doing pretty well, and it's like you said, we need to focus on their mental health. I have got a little quote from a teacher who just said, we leave the kids alone. We have superpowers, and they will catch up. But what they can't do is they can't build their mental health. They can't build their self-esteem. They can't build their resilience whilst doing the academic stuff as well. So that's our job. That's the mummy and daddy's jobs and the carers' jobs to do.
Yeah.
Is he back?
I think Eve's back. So if you guys can still see and hear Eve, Rachel says that she can hear her. Eve, do you want me to repeat the question, or are you okay to go ahead and answer that?
I think the biggest impact on the little ones, really, with SEN is that they haven't got a routine anymore. And as much as the answer to that seems obvious, that a routine should be put in at home, it's not the same. It's just not the same thing as, parents trying to put in a timetable when traditionally that's where they would relax and have less of a timetable. It's quite a different thing. So I think basically I just agree with everything that you've said, that the priority has to be mental health and well-being. Everything else can be caught up, but not if everything about them, the fabric of the being is destroyed because they're just completely in an emotional crisis. You can't catch everything else up then. So the best thing is, just keep them calm. If, they need routine, then by all means set one, but it can't be regimented because they are used to relaxing at home.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And if you look, I was saying, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you need those first 2 initial steps before you can even look at anything else. So am I warm? Am I happy? Am I fed? Am I safe? No, I'm not. Nobody's safe. Nobody knows what the hell's going on at the moment. So you've just got to be kind to you and kind to everybody else. I don't think they'll fall behind. Like I say, I think they've built that resilience, and they've built up a bank of skills, life skills, even communication, you know, negotiation with parents. Can I do this? Like you said, can I, if I do this for so much money, can I have this game? Can I, you know, and even understanding that they can't step outside the front door. What is that? That is unprecedented, like everybody's been saying. So I think.
Sorry.
No, I was thinking kind is the message.
Be kind. Yeah, absolutely. Like, be kind to others and be kind to yourself as well. As parents, I think demonstrating kindness to ourselves and giving ourselves a little bit of a break and not berating ourselves constantly for, you know, failing at homeschooling or failing at work or, you know, putting gruel on the table for the 5th night in a row or whatever.
Gruel.
You know, I think if we model good mental health and good habits and stuff, then that will rub off on the kids. Eve, it was really interesting what someone was telling me you were saying about supporting mental health. Have you got any tips about how, and this I'll come round to all of you for this, any tips about how we can support our kids' mental health? So Eve, I'll come to you first on that.
I think talking about your own mental health and well-being is key with little children. You know, you modelling the language that you would use to describe how you're feeling, not pretending that you feel happy all the time. You know, Mum is feeling tired today. I need a little bit of peace and quiet, and talking about this is how I feel. It's not happy all of the time, and this is what I'm going to do to try and make myself feel better, and encouraging the children to do the same. You know, there's some great things available, you know, tools. If you don't feel confident, and quite often the little ones just can't articulate how they're feeling. There's loads of really nice tools. Something I use is called Talking Mats, and that's run by like a charitable organisation, but it's great. It's just a non-verbal way of them communicating how they're feeling at that moment in time. And you don't probe into why, you don't try and solve it immediately. It's just accepting that we don't all feel happy all of the time. And we're in such a strange time that, you know, it's unlikely that you'll feel happy all of the time anyway.
Just to add on to that one, Twinkle, they've got the social stories, and that's for older kids with SEN and younger kids. So, you know, you can talk through what's happening, how people are feeling, and you're not the only one in that sort of situation. I think my saving grace were when Julia Donaldson, author of the Gruffalo, brought out the COVID book that you could print off. And so me and Isabella sat down and we went through that, you know, and this is the bug, the spiky bug, and this is what it is, and everybody else in the world is feeling it. Because once you know that everybody's in the same boat, then you can sort of empathise with people who haven't got a garden. Isabella's like, Mummy, well, how do they get on who haven't got a garden? When she saw people clapping and things on the TV that night, and how does that work out? You know, and it evokes lots of different questions that they've got. And I think it helped me as well to explain to her, because I didn't have a clue. How am I going to tell a 5-year-old that she can't go swimming anymore? You know, when she's so close to her 2 meters. It's just mind blowing. So that were a good resource. And Winnie the Witch, one of our other favourite authors, she brought a book out as well on COVID-19 and the effects of it. So I think that's pretty good. Just to back up what you were saying.
And then Jen, how are you supporting your kids' mental health through all of this?
Locking them in a cupboard with zip ties. Nobody messing. I'm not.
Really helped your mental health.
Do you know what? I found it a challenge myself, not just due to COVID, just due to life changes of what's going on at home myself, because I suffer from PTSD. So I've had a lot of flashbacks and stuff over the last few weeks now. Luckily, my kids are well aware of, you know, my challenges and Mummy's mental health. So we talk about it when I go to my head doctor, which is my therapist. So they're all well aware of that. I'm quite open about it. That, you know what, we don't always feel happy, and we're allowed to feel sad, because for me, we've got to be allowed to feel our feelings. We've got to be allowed to talk about them, because if they don't understand that they can talk about feelings, or, you know, talk to me about it, or dad or stepmom, they're always going to be closed in about it. And I think this is a big thing that I'm reaching at the minute, where, you know, little boys all the time you hear where, you know, don't cry because you're acting like a girl. Why do we say things like that? I mean, he's stood in front of me now. He's a 10-year-old little boy, and he's always crying. I'm just on the phone, mate. Right, mate. Sorry, he's just whinging that his sister's tipped his drink down the sink. He's very, very emotional, and he's always crying. And that's just because he's a highly emotional child. That's just who he is. And I think we've got to accept that they're all different as well, because I've got 5 and they're all very, very different personalities. I've got one that's a terrorist. There's no other word for him. He is just a terrorist. I've got 2 that are highly emotional. And I've got one who thinks he's a superstar. And it's speaking to them in their language and what they need. So I've got older ones that they wouldn't be seen dead cuddling the mum. But, you know, we can do other things. You can do TikTok videos and get them involved, and you're having a laugh with them. And I actually played Fortnite this week. What's that about? Because one of them, I know, it was like, I got into the last 5 and I had 1 kill. I was so impressed. That's what he likes doing, and I needed to get into his space so he would speak to me. I hate computer games, but it's just giving them that half an hour to sit down and go, all right, mate, show me what you want to show me. And when you're in their space, they do talk to you more. And lots of cuddles. My youngest 2 were in my bed for the first 6 weeks. Now, I don't suggest that anybody wants to do that. That was purely my choice, because they were the mummy's babies anyway, so they were both in my bed, and that's what we wanted to do. And you know what? That's okay, because that works for us. Doesn't mean it works for everybody else. And I think the biggest thing that any parent can take away from this is, don't try and model yourself on other parents. Yeah. You as a parent, your children are very, very different. Your family and your lifestyle is very, very different. What works for you might not work for somebody else, and vice versa. Do what works for you, not what anybody else says, and it'll alleviate half stress automatically.
Yeah, for sure. I think a big thing with me, like, and Naya, is I've not lied to her. I've not hidden anything, and I've not, you know, given her platitudes. Like she was saying this morning, you know, when will it end? I was like, nobody knows. We don't know. We don't know what it will look like. You know, just kind of giving her information as I have information about what's going on with the pandemic and when she might be able to go and see her friends again, and not saying to her, you know, it'll happen soon. And the other thing that we've been doing is practicing, I suppose, gratitude every day, and, you know, thinking about all the things that we do have rather than the things that we don't have, and you know, allowing her to express sadness or annoyance or anger or frustration or whatever, but then afterwards saying, okay, well, let's think about what do we have, what are we grateful for, what are we lucky that we can still do. And I don't know if that's working or not. I'll let you know when she gets out of the padded cell.
No, it's really good. The wish jar as well. I wish when this is over, we can think, we can play, we can, you know.
I think. Yeah, go on, Liz.
It's all supportive of mental health, Anna. I think we're all doing a cracking job, and I think that the difficulty is juggling having to go to work, having to have meetings, such as, I mean, Daddy's home today, so she can whisk off. But usually when I'm in a meeting like this, she's stood there, she's jumping on bed, she's throwing a bit us all over, and it's, oh, you know, you're always apologising and you always feel guilty. You're trying to chop and change, like, oh, I need to phone that person, but I can't really conduct a conversation of such sensitive information while my kid's jumping about behind me, and it is really difficult juggling homeschooling and working. And I know there's not much structure. We shouldn't really be putting structure in. I definitely agree with that. But I plug my kid in. I do. I plug her in. I plug her into the TV. Right, you can watch 2 of your programmes whilst I get this done. And I try and make it educational, i.e. number blocks or, you know, something on the BBC channel. But she's worked out Netflix now. So that's down the Swanee. So yeah, she's developing her tech skills.
Well, that's it. Yeah, connected with your culture.
The only thing
I've got a 6-year-old with an iPhone now as well, and she's FaceTiming grandma and her auntie. And I think, do you know what? I wouldn't ever advise giving a 6-year-old an iPhone. It was a spare one we had in a drawer, and I think they need that communication with the family at the minute, don't they? They need that connectivity with people to see some normal faces.
Yeah, for sure. Eve, I just want to ask you, so with children that have got special educational needs, how do you think the best way to share messages about what's happening in the world is? Is there a special way that we should be talking to children with SEN, or a different way that we should be talking to children with SEN about COVID?
I mean, any child with all children are different, including those with SEN. They're all different from one another, and what works for one won't work for another. But one thing I would say sort of pretty consistently is about using visuals, no matter on the age of the child, young person, adult. If something is visible in front of you, it helps you to understand it. It helps it to go into your memory so you can understand it and process it in good time. Because verbal information received sort of immediately, especially really abstract information like this about something that they can't see, is all the more complex and less likely to be processed correctly. So I'd say, if you can, there's loads online. There's absolutely loads online with little cartoons and things that explain it. But if you don't feel happy sort of doing it by a screen, then just draw out little pictures, to sort of show that although we can't see the germ, it is there and all the rest of it, and just showing them, visuals are really, really important, I think, for people of any age, to be honest. If you see it, you're more likely to understand it.
I've got also, Eve, there's a widget thing out at the moment, a COVID widget thing that they're using for transitions. I'll put it in, I'll give it Hannah to put in the link, for people who are non-verbal, who need that, like you say, need that image to process what's going on. And obviously if they're used to sort of widgets and Mekaton and things like that, then makes their life a lot easier, and parents, like you say.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't hear Eve. Is she still talking?
Yes, she is. I don't think Anna can hear you, Eve. Sorry.
I didn't say anything. Can you hear me now?
Jenny's muted.
Ready? Yeah, I'm. I'll just stay quiet in the corner. So I won't put baby in the corner. No, we next question. Let us know what else you're on. We're all quiet then. Sorry, we just didn't let you know.
So you just need to tell me. Just like give me the flag or something. So, but I'm sure Eve, whatever you're saying is really good. Does anybody worry how their children are gonna, or how children are going to retransition back into full-time education after this, especially those with SEN? Liz?
I can only speak really my experience with Isabella, because it's so close. It's Monday, but obviously I've said no. But I don't know what it's going to look like. I've had a risk assessment saying they're going to stay 2 meters apart, and if they fall down in the playground, there's going to be a problem cleaning up their knees and plastering. And is it going to be taped out? Is everything, toys are moved out? It's just not school, is it? It's just not. It's not for her. She is a cuddler. She's a serial cuddler, and she loves to. She'll be on toys, and she who's going to make sure she's wiped to bottom? This is the thing. She's in that position in a sort of a schooling where she's too excited to wipe bums and she's running off. Don't ever put this on the internet, by the way.
We won't.
So I worry about that. It's going to be a massive transition with regards to my workplace, because we've always had skeletal staffing for key workers and vulnerable students and students with EHCP plans, etc. But then it's the one-to-one face, the children who can't access the building without having that one-to-one support, and it's not going to do the 2 meters, is it? So that's the worry, not getting the support that they need. They come on the community transport bus, so how is that going to work? And there's lots of things that need to be planned out. And I think it's going to be a lengthy process. I think it's going to be more or less towards October when things start to not even settle down. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen and how it's going to impact on my adult learners. But my 5-year-old, obviously, I'm I want her to go back to school because of her mental health and developing her social skills, because she's at that age where she needs to develop her social skills. But on the whole, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
And I wonder if children with autism or children who rely very heavily on a routine are going to struggle more going back to school. That's such a different environment.
That's the thing, isn't it? You know, is their course going to be completely different? A lot of online stuff. I had to go on a negotiation conference call with a tutor because the autistic learner would respond in class, but when she were asked to do an assessment online, she wouldn't do it. She's just stopped talking to the tutor. So I had to intervene, speak to the student, and then sort of marry that conversation up. Even though she'd spoke to the tutor for 2 years and they've been friends and everything works out, the idea of going online and speaking to a camera, huge no. So, but then does that impact on the qualification? Is there room for reasonable adjustments and reasonable alternative assessment formats? There's many questions are thrown up, aren't they? And yeah, it's a big debate that's going to be going on for the next few months, especially in both my worlds, both personal and professional.
And what about you, Eve? How do you think that this whole new back to school regime is going to impact little ones that have got special educational needs?
I think for all of them it's going to be quite a shock to the system. You know, they're used to being in such a nurturing environment. I think the vast majority of schools for young people now are really, really nurturing, you know, and teachers are warm and, you know, they are sort of mother type figures, and they'll come up to you and they will cuddle you and all the rest of it. And it is just going to be so different. And I think everybody's saying I want them to go back for the social interaction, but that is going to be so limited. You know, I've got my own views on it. I don't think it's the right thing to send back such young children at this stage. But I think all that we can do in schools is try and prepare them for what it's going to look like. You know, so we're doing videos of the classroom layout and how it's going to be and how the timetable is going to run with all this desk-based learning, and trying to make it as pleasant as we possibly can do. It's just big change, isn't it? It's, you know, and with any change, the best thing to do with it is prepare them for it. You know, it is what it is. We can't change it. It's going to be this way. The only way that we can soften the blow is by preparing them for it, by showing them and telling them what it's going to be like.
Eve, do you think that you're going to get some comeback from parents? Let's say, for instance, that kiddies go back at that age, because I disagree with it. I mean, a lot of people are saying the 15th of June would be more suitable, but I'm still not sure then, to be honest, because of, like you said, with the social distancing rules and what have you with little is. But do you think that you're going to get parents saying, this is not what I expected, this is not what was in the risk assessment, this is not feasible, and do you think that's fair on teachers?
Well, we're trying to avoid that, to be fair. I mean, communication is key, isn't it? To avoid people being disappointed and thinking this isn't what I expected. We've got to tell them what to expect, haven't we? And show them what to expect. You know, so we're showing them the classrooms. I want to strike an appropriate balance, though, between being really honest that this is not going to be the same environment that they were in, but also not scaring the life out of people, because people have to go to work and they have to send the kids back to school. And I don't want those parents panicking, thinking, oh my God, I'm sending them into some kind of sterile Victorian classroom. You know, I want them to think they're still going to be loved and cared for. It's just going to be in a different way.
I was on a Facebook chat with parents from my daughter's age group, and a lot of them were going for the jugular. No, this is not for me, blah, 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 blah. And then I got this little sort of hand pop up, and she's like, well, my kid's been going since day one. But you know, and it's like this, just it is very, very opinionated out there, and I don't envy what you've got to do, which is keep a smiley, happy face. and exactly what I want for Bella. I want her to have those cuddles. I want somebody, if she grazes a knee, to go and pick her up and cuddle her and tell her it's going to be fine. It is a really worrying time for me. I'm not going to lie. That with my older kids, I think they'll adjust a lot easier than the little is. My kids with SEN, maybe not so much, because I'm not really supposed to cuddle them that age group. But yeah, no, thanks, Eve, because this has really helped me have a little think, and I think I need pictures of the classroom and what it's going to look like because I've not had that, and I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, I mean, just don't be scared of speaking to your school
Jenny,
and saying, look,
as Eve stopped talking, sorry.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, thanks, Eve. Yeah, I will. I have had some conversations with the school, and I've had a risk assessment. But like you say, that sort of visual transition to show Belle, this is what it's going to look like. This is what, do you want to do what we're going to do? And get her involved in it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm done.
Okay.
Everybody stop talking now. You're fine.
Right. This is so weird. Right, Jenny. So obviously you have a lot of children at home, and you have a really important job to do and a busy job that you're doing, and it's not really stopped since this whole Rona situation. How are you? Yeah, good. How are you kind of structuring your day and their day so that they can engage in some activity? Okay, now moving on.
First couple of weeks were absolutely horrendous in terms of I didn't know my head from my backside. My head from my backside. It was literally, we had this one sat on meetings with me with goth makeup and Christmas decorations on her head. And do you know what? The people that I work with anyway are generally family orientated. And I said, you know what, this is our new normal. If this is a problem, then we can't work together going forward. And there's not one person who said it's a problem. Generally speaking, though, they are pretty good. If they want something, do you want feeding? Do you like food? Yeah. And that if you want food, you've got to let mummy work, don't you? Yeah. So generally speaking, I'll say, give me an hour. And then mummy can go and buy some food, because if you don't have food, then don't work, you don't have food. So try and make it as basic, not trying to bully them, but try and make it as basic as possible. Mummy needs this hour. I mean, she's bored now, because I think this is the 3rd hour that I've been online today. So she's desperate for my attention right now. Luckily, I'm in a different position from a lot of people. I run my own business. I'm my own boss. So I book in my own appointments. So what I've started to do now is I just manage one client a day. So I have one appointment once a day for an hour, and that's it. I might have a Zoom call later on in the afternoon or a phone call, but it's very different to sitting down on Zoom calls permanently. It's what I tried to do at the beginning. Can't do it. You just physically can't, because you've got one with a nosebleed, one that's punching the other one in the face, you've got one that's just going mummy, 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 and one screaming because someone's touched her hairdryer or something. So it just never stops. Excuse me. I think we do need loose structures, definitely. I think the very rigid structures have never worked for me in parenting anyway. We wake up when we wake up, we go to sleep when we go to sleep, and we eat when we're hungry. We don't have, strict set routines. We have loose ones. We'll have dinner between 12 and 2 generally. Depends on what day it is and what we're doing. We go to the beach. But what I've tended to do is to get some outside play, or to do something outside every day. And luckily, we live in a little village, and it's full of farmers' fields and cows and, back roads. So we're very lucky that we can get out, and we've got 3 to 5 to 7 fields just behind us, and the kids can run free. We've got a garden. We are very, very lucky in that respect. I know a lot of people don't have that. But I think things are changing now next week. I mean, they are lifting some of the isolation rules. And I know everybody's even parents are very, very anxious about it. And I think it's just make sure you're safe, make sure your family is safe in terms of what you're doing, but do get out for a walk. It's beautiful weather. Even if you don't feel like it because you're depressed, because I was like that last week, I honestly couldn't be bothered getting dressed. We still got up every day and went for a walk, even if it was just half an hour, just to get out, because the kids need to run off that energy, because otherwise they're going to be driving you insane.
And I think as well, to see that the world still exists. We go on a walk because you can't see anything from our house. So we go on a walk to demonstrate that there's still cars and there's still birds and there's still people around, albeit a long way away. We've had a question from the audience. Has anyone been sticking to half term? And what the hell are you going to do with them during the summer holidays? Liz, do you want to go? Are you on half term?
I am really looking because Daddy's had 10 days off. So I am observing half term. We went to the beach for the first time. We went to Cleethorpes at the beginning of the week. Wasn't as hot as it is now. Yeah, Isabella tends to write a name every day. That's all all I really ask of her. So she'll sit down at the table and just orientate those, just to keep that going on. But she's learning all the time. Everything we do, you know, we went and wrote a story about Daddy's X-ray eyes finding these particular shells on the beach and composed that when we got home. So we're always learning. And I mean, I appreciate that not all parents are sort of can adapt like that, and that's that difficulty. But, you know, little engineers, little scientists, let them explore, let them do. And they're always learning. It's a continual learning thing, you know. Oh, she's back. She's going to pop in any second. Yeah, so not observing half term, just relaxing, just playing. I work term time only, so Daddy's home. I work term time only, so yeah, I'm quite lucky in that sense.
Eve, what about you? Have you been keeping, and especially your bigger one, Harry, your bigger one, Harry, your son? Ooh. Have you been keeping him to kind of half term and holidays, or are you encouraging him to work through?
He's still getting work set for him, so I just think just carry on. He's not doing it all day long. He's not, you know, driving himself into the ground. It's a little bit of something other than sitting around playing Xbox and playing in the garden. It's just a little bit of something to stimulate your mind, I suppose. And I think in our house, we all need that. I can't bear to just have nothing and just be sort of very, very open-ended. I quite like routine and structure and things that I have to focus on. So we're all still carrying on, to be honest. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't. I don't think I'd like it, but that is just my personal viewpoint. I wouldn't judge anybody else for doing otherwise.
She's finished.
Thank you. Jenny, are you sticking to? Are your kids on half term this week?
I don't think it's changed. I said I didn't even know it was half term. So what we try and do with because school sets work all the time anyway. We generally try and squeeze an hour in every day of doing something, whether it's going on my maths or, you know, something else. We just try and squeeze an hour in. I mean, one of the terrorist, well, we call him that. He knows we call him that. He's funny. He's 13. He's very good at telling us he's done something, but doesn't do it because I don't understand the school systems. Right. So this one, though, you do an hour a day. You've got a tutor as well, haven't you? So you've got a tutor. Shouldn't you have a tutor once a week? It's something for her to look forward to. And my eldest one, who's still doing his GCSEs, he's still been working through this week because he wants to go back. And when we come through the 6-week holidays, I think at that point, we're all going to be in this routine of whatever routine it is, whether we're doing an hour a day, 5 hours a day, no hours a day. We've all built our routines by then because we've been in this system for, 4 months. And I think personally, this is my own personal view, it's good to keep in that routine throughout the 6 weeks. So they've still got that bit of schooling in, if that makes sense. They've still got that bit of routine. Whereas usually the 6 weeks holidays, it's like, stop it, get a bit, let's just go and do whatever we want. We still won't be able to do that. We still can't go on holiday. There's still a lot of things we can't do. So we're not back to the new normal yet. I don't expect to go back to school until January. I'm umming and ahhing whether I send her back at all because she's very cuddly. Like you say, your little girl, she's very cuddly. She always wants to be attached to somebody, and I can't imagine the school that she goes to are going to look very kindly on it when she doesn't do that. And I don't want her in a position where she wants a cuddle and she's getting shouted at for wanting that, because that's going to damage her more in the long term. So I'm umming and ahhing whether I actually put it down as I'm homeschooling her and get an external tutor, whether she actually goes back at all. Now, she is desperate to go back and see her friends. We're just going to have to see how that goes, because if she is getting told off for wanting a cuddle, she's not going.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The last time we did this Facebook Live, homeschooling and work. It was a few weeks ago, and it was quite early in lockdown, and we were all saying desperately, how do we educate these children? How do we teach them? I don't understand division. How do I do it? And we were going, do a few hours a day, split it up into chunks, blah blah blah. Whereas now I feel like the mood is very much, they're learning. We're teaching them things that they wouldn't learn at school, like how to cook or how to, be happy and stuff. So I do feel like there's been a bit of a shift. We are coming up to time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around, and if everyone can just give me your kind of top tip for managing the brutes at home, that'd be really great. So I'll come round in clockwise. So Liz, I'll start with you. What are your top tips, love?
Small world for me with Isabella. She's just do small world, do gardening, do anything creative, get out. I didn't mention the 6-week holidays, by the way. We are hoping to get to Cornwall. Should I say that out loud? We have booked.
Barnard Castle. I hear that fine.
So for my eyes tested, so my top tip is top tips is just outdoor creative play. That's all that that I think's good for Belle.
Brill, thank you. Eve?
I think it's basically just do whatever works for you, because everybody's so different. If you need structure and routine and you need a colour-coded timetable, do it. And if you need to just not have those boundaries and restrictions and just play it completely by mood and whatever's going on, do it. There's no right and wrong in this situation. That's why it's unnerved people so much, is that it's so alien to us. And do whatever feels right for you.
She's finished.
Thank you.
I was going to say it's very similar for me. Do you know what? We're all different. Do what's right for you. Do not listen to any negativity online or anywhere else that someone's telling you you're a bad parent or you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Because do you know what? It's got nothing to do with them. It's about you and your family. What have we been doing this week that you like? You've got a new best friend outside, haven't you, Jeffy? Do you want to tell everybody what Jeffy is?
It's a little ant.
So we've been looking at all different animals, and she's got a best friend. So we've been exploring animals, haven't we, outside in the garden? So we've got woodlouse, and we're just looking at all different things that we never had time to do before.
And we're catching them.
You had Jeffy crawling all the way up your arm, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. And a ladybug.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good tip, isn't it? Go and look at like all the things that are outside in the garden that you would never have had chance to do, or just enjoy this time as extra time that you get to explore the world again through your child's eyes. Get
on a trampoline outside with them. Go and have some fun.
Well, I'm 7 months pregnant, so I'm not going to do that because I'll break the bloody thing. But yeah, no trampolining for me. But yeah, I think for us, we've been letting Naya explore her own interests and explore areas that she's interested in. And one week it was all about snakes, and the next week she was fascinated with the Romans and things like that. So it's just, what are her interests? Let's explore that. So yeah. Brilliant. Well, we are at time, so thank you so much for joining us. And I'm really sorry that I couldn't hear Eve, and there was like in the conversation when I was assuming she was talking. And sorry, Eve, if I talked over you. The video will be up on the Grow Traffic Facebook page, and it will also be on the Grow Traffic YouTube page for you to watch again. She's doing you a dirty, Jen.
I know, this is our normal meetings.
Love it. The comments will be open online, so if any of you guys want to go and put any of your resources in or links to anything that you've mentioned, then that'd be really lovely. And if you want to plug any of your business or anything that's going on in your life that you want people to know about or attend to, please post. But other than that, that's it from us. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.